By the way, I am dropping Alabama a ton. Just wait and see how far I drop down. As do I. These nerds have a number 4. I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense. You know what it is, actually? They are ranking the brand. They're not ranking this team. Whereas me, I'm ranking Alabama for the team that they currently are. I'm willing to bet, although I haven't looked at any rankings outside of what I just looked at in the AP poll and my rankings now, nobody has Tennessee ranked higher than myself. Can y'all believe it, man? The Week 3 rankings, let this sit in with you. The Week 3 rankings are already out. Don't get me wrong, I'm ecstatic that college football season is here, but we gotta slow down, man, because, I mean, this is my life. It's what I look forward to the most. It seems like the season is zooming by, and I cannot wait to look at these rankings because, well, number 1, I haven't seen them, but number 2, we saw the chaos that ensued this most recent weekend. Where's Notre Dame going to be ranked, if they're going to be ranked at all? I have no idea. Alabama, they struggle with USF. Are they going to drop? Who else? Oh, yeah, Michigan, they got Millie Wop. They should fall way out of the top 10. Trying to think as well. Oh, yeah, Tennessee. I'm going to be extremely curious to see how high they go up. Penn State struggled with Bowling Green. I think at the point, there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. If you are new around here, number 1, welcome to the channel. And number 2, I will explain to you what we're about to get into. The premise is relatively simple. Number 1, we're going to take a look at these rankings. Have not seen it. You're going to get my live reaction to it. And number 2, I'm going to give you guys my, not top 10. We changed the format since we have 12 teams. I'm going to give you my top 12 teams in the nation. In other terms, I'm basically giving you my rankings. I don't do a full top 25 because there's no need of it. I mean, who cares who's ranked 23rd in the country? Can't dumb it down any more than that. But hold on. What is this comment? Matt B. Diddy strikes again with another heater of a vid. Can you host a Matt B. Diddy party with your subscribers soon? I think you guys know this. We've seen a lot of wild comments on the channel, but that's up there with the best of them. Or I guess I shall say the worst of them. The Matt B. Diddy party? Hey man, like they say, ain't no party like a Diddy party. Alright, obviously I'm joking. I'm just trolling y'all back because you're trolling me. On a serious note, we gotta lock in, get down to business. If we did throw that party, how many of y'all would show up? Just hypothetically speaking. Okay. All right. I'm done. We're getting into the rankings. All right, let's go to ESPN. Pull this up. Hold on. All right, got it right here. And boom. What about that at 25? We got Northern Illinois. That is what I like to see. Well-deserved, and I think you could argue and say they should be higher. Undefeated, got a top 5 win. I think 25 is kind of low for that. 24, we got Boston College. And, oh, Nebraska. Hey, man, shout out to the Cornhuskers. I'm going to clap it up. I am happy for the Nebraska fan base because I have been giving them crap the past 5 to 6 years. I'm not going to say they deserve it because I don't think you deserve anything in this life, but I'm genuinely happy for y'all. Same thing for Boston College, and we got 3 new teams cracking the top 25. That's what I like to see. 22, we got Clemson working their way back up after a semi-impressive win over App State because we know App State can give these teams a tough time. And at 21, we got Iowa State off of that last-second field goal against Iowa. No complaints there, not even to the slightest. 20-16, we got Arizona. Wait, yeah, they didn't move any. 19, Louisville, they go up. Notre Dame, wait a minute. Okay, you know this is where things could get controversial. Why is Notre Dame ranked ahead of Northern Illinois? We'll come back to them in just a second, but I think we have a legit case and argument as stating that Northern Illinois should be ranked higher than them because they beat them on their home field. Whatever, it is what it is. At 17, okay, another big drop. We got Michigan. I don't mind Michigan only falling that much, but I said this at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to say it again. At best, this year they go 8-4, 9-3. They're a fringe top 25 team. As long as they're not inside the top 15, I'm not going to be too upset. At 16, going up 2 spots just due to teams losing in front of them, we got LSU. 20-16, not too much of a gripe. Let's get into 15-11. Oklahoma, yeah, they stayed the same. K-State goes up 3. Oak State goes up 3. They just got so fortunate to beat Arkansas. They didn't beat Arkansas. You know who beat Arkansas on Saturday? Arkansas. I still feel awful for that Razorback fan base, and you know I've said that multiple times by now. Utah, they go down, and USC goes up to 11. No real complaints there either. Let's get into the top 10. Miami goes up 2 spots. Oregon drops 2. As to why Oregon is in the top 10, I have no idea. Blows my mind. We got Penn State at number 8. We got Tennessee, the Volunteers, at 7, going up a whopping 7 spots. And we got Mizzou going up 3 spots to number 6. I like this, except for Penn State and Oregon. I have a big problem with Penn State and Oregon being in the top 10, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there and we go over my rankings. Also, I haven't seen Bama, which means Bama's in the top 5. Let's get into it. At 5, we got Ole Miss, the Lane Train. Shout out to them. Bama stays the same after a pitiful, embarrassing, pathetic performance against South Florida. Ohio State, the little bro, Ohio State. They go down to number 3. It's not because they were awful. It's because Texas millie-whopped Michigan by, we'll just say a lot to a little. They go up to 2, and Georgia remains number 1 because they're the best team in the country, and it's not even close. I don't have a big problem with the top 5. My biggest problem with all this is you got Penn State and Oregon in the top 10. 2 questions. How and why? One reason why I don't like the AP poll and I strongly dislike it is because, yeah, you put out these rankings, that's fine, but you don't give reasonings for it. We just have a bunch of nerds compiling up all their rankings, throwing it out there, and there's no explanation. Say what you want about the committee, but they've done a great job, and I love the part of the show where they rank the teams, and then whoever, whether it's Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, ask them questions. Hey, why is this team ranked number 5? Why are they ranked number 1? Wherever, and they give an explanation. And speaking of explanation, that's why I firmly believe my top 10, or now my top 12, is more important and the only poll that really matters compared to the AP poll, at least until we get to the college football playoff rankings, because I give you guys that. I give you an explanation. So with that being said, let's get into my rankings and let's talk about it. To put it in perspective, these were my rankings last week. These were the first rankings I came out with because I don't do preseason rankings because there's no point of it. 1, Georgia, 2, Texas, 3, Alabama. By the way, I am dropping Alabama a ton. Just wait and see how far I drop down. 4, Little Bro State, 5, Notre Dame. Don't want to talk about it, or I will talk about it in a second. 6, Ole Miss, 7, Miami, 8, USC, 9, Missouri, and 10, Utah. Get you a nice long look at this list because this new one is going to be very different. At number 12, they did go up in my rankings, and I'll just be honest with you, it's because I had a hard time figuring out who to throw at 12 because nobody really deserves to be there. I put LSU. Reasoning for this, I don't have a great reason outside of I thought they played USC solid and they really should have won that game. And since I have USC ranked ahead of them, I'm not going to just degrade LSU because I didn't think LSU played bad in the ball game. I'll give you a good example. If I have Georgia ranked number 1 and I have, let's say, for the sake of this video, Texas ranked number 2, if Texas loses to Georgia and I think Texas played good and it's some like 3-point, 7-point game, why would I drop Texas? Because I have Georgia ranked number 1, so theoretically speaking, Texas shouldn't beat them. You see what I'm saying? Same thing here. That's why I got LSU at 12. Not because they've been super impressive, but because I think USC is way better than what I thought. I like what I saw against USC. This weekend, they didn't have their A game, but they walked out there with a win. At number 11, I have Oregon. This one is relatively simple. I shouldn't have to harp on it enough. They barely skimmed by the fighting potato wedges in Idaho. And then they get extremely fortunate against Boise State because they had not 1 but 2 special teams touchdowns. Against Boise State, I don't even got to look it up. I remember looking at the box score. They had 3.1 yards per carry. 3 yards per carry, man. Their offense line's doo-doo cheeks. They're not a top 10 team. At number 10, I kind of just threw them in here because they haven't done anything bad, haven't done anything great. I got Utah. Here's where things started getting interesting. At number 9, I got Missouri. I like Missouri, but they haven't done anything special, haven't really proven anything. At number 8, this was the biggest drop in my rankings. I got Alabama. This Alabama team does not look good. They didn't look good in week 1, and they looked embarrassing in week 2. As do why these nerds have at number 4, I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense. You know what it is, actually? They are ranking the brand. They're not ranking this team. Whereas me, I'm ranking Alabama for the team that they currently are. And me only dropping them to 8 is just due to the fact they have a crap ton of talent. I know Alabama can piece it together, but until they do, they're not going up in my rankings. And the beauty about all this, if you're an Alabama fan, don't worry, don't stress, because it's going to play itself out. Alabama plays Georgia in a couple of weeks. We'll really be able to justify how good Alabama is after that game, because we know how good Georgia is. They do have Wisconsin this Saturday, and we'll preview that game and cross that bridge when we get there. At number 7, they have went up in my rankings due to Alabama falling. I got USC. At 6, this will shock a lot of people, but it's because they're just going off of preseason rankings. I got Tennessee. I'm willing to bet, although I haven't looked at any rankings outside of what I just looked at in the AP poll and my rankings now, nobody has Tennessee ranked higher than myself. And for all you sitting there going, oh my goodness, Matt, why did Tennessee jump so high? That's ridiculous. No, it's not. I don't believe in these BS preseason rankings. Therefore, Tennessee didn't really quote-unquote jump up in my rankings because I don't really rank these teams, and it's hard to really evaluate them until about week 2, week 3, and week 4, until they start playing some teams and we find out who they are. Currently, as to where it stands right now, if Tennessee were to play Alabama tomorrow, I am picking Tennessee, and that's why I got them ranked ahead of them. Tennessee and Bama do play this year, and that's a while down the road. For now, at least, Tennessee's better. At number 5, I am so high on this team, I got Miami. What I said about them in week 1, it carries over. They had a cupcake this most recent weekend, so nothing changes. And the reason you see a lot of these teams going up in my rankings is due to Alabama fail, so a lot of them just went up by default. At number 4, I got Ole Miss. This team has a great quarterback, obviously a great offense led by the Lane Train, and their defense is, I'm not going to say extraordinarily better, but I'd say slightly better than what most people think. We don't really know a lot about Ole Miss, but they're taking care of business, and I like what I see on the tape. At number 3, I got Little Bro State. They only went up because Alabama went down. Ohio State's a great team, similar to Ole Miss, haven't really played anybody. At number 2, I got Texas. I had them there last week, so they don't go up. And number 1, I got Georgia. 1 through 5 doesn't need any explaining. 6, what Tennessee does, USC doesn't. I already explained that last week. And Alabama. I have a hard time believing any of you are going to argue with me putting Oregon at number 11. As a matter of fact, some of you might argue that it's too high, and I understand. And I'll be honest with y'all, I considered, and this is what I was thinking about when I do these rankings, putting Tennessee above Miami and Ole Miss. I am really high on this Tennessee team because of Nico Iamaleava. Dude can spin it. If you've been watching the channel for the past, not just year, but past 3 years, you know I've been hyping up this young man since he was in high school. Here's a fun fact for you. I was keeping up with Nico when he was a star volleyball player. Yeah, that's right. I bet a bunch of you didn't even know Nico was a phenom when it comes to volleyball. Not football, volleyball. Dude's an all-around athlete, and what's scary about Tennessee is they got a defense, and they have some of the best edge rushers in the nation. They're on another level. Granted, NC State is a mid-team. If they're in the SEC, they go 5-7, 6-6. But when I watch these teams on film, I don't evaluate them compared to their opponent. I evaluate them for what I see. And Tennessee, and this might piss off some Alabama fans, look like how Alabama used to look like on defense. They look fast, and they are flying, and I mean flying to the ball. They hit hard, they're physical. I don't know a team in the country that wants to play them. As to where it stands right now, Tennessee is like a slightly worse version of Georgia. For my Bama fans, Alabama has a great defense. They're not too far behind Tennessee's. But the one thing that's holding Alabama back in my rankings is the offensive line. Alabama has one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, dynamic running backs, some of the best wide receivers in the nation, but it doesn't matter if you can't block. It was on full display Saturday. Here's the great news. As bad as Alabama's looked these first 2 weeks, compared to their standard, they're 2-0. And we saw this happen last year. It's almost like deja vu. They struggled against USF. Everybody's questioning Nick Saban. Is this team even going to win 8 games? Next thing you know, they make it to the college football playoff, and they beat Georgia. And a lot of Bama fans are clinging on to that, but just because you turned it around last year doesn't mean you're going to turn it around this year. I'm not saying Alabama won't turn it around because they can, but I'm just saying it's not like for certain, oh yeah, it's Alabama, we'll fix it. We'll check out some of the comments under this tweet. By the way, shout out to Jim, always commenting and sending me stuff on Twitter. I think putting Alabama below Tennessee is an overreaction. We'll know where Alabama is after the Georgia game, and I completely agree. One comment a lot of people are saying is how excited they are that Miami's back. So Oregon struggles with a top group of 5 team in Boise State and is at 11, but Alabama struggles with a nobody team in South Florida, but stays top 10. Make it make sense. I will gladly make it make sense. Oregon won by 3 points, a walk-off field goal. And Oregon struggled not just with Boise State, but I'm going to remind you, they struggled with the fighting potato wedges. You see, Alabama in week 1 won 63-0. And in week 2, with 3 fumbles in the second half, won 42-16. That's why Alabama is ranked ahead of Oregon. Alabama also doesn't have one of their best offensive linemen who's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick and another lineman that's banged up. I respect your opinion and thank you for the comment, but that's me answering your question. Michigan fan, that's his username. I don't really know what he like me to call him, says Oregon at 11 is a ranking. Well, here's my thing behind that. And like I said, I knew some people would complain with Oregon at 11. Who else are you going to put there? I was looking. Am I going to throw Oklahoma up there? They beat Houston by 4 points. I'm not going to put Oklahoma State up there. They should have lost to Arkansas. There's not many options. You want me to put Penn State there? Notre Dame? I could go on and on. Out of all the teams that were left, you kind of had to put Oregon at 11 and LSU 12, at least in my humble opinion. Last thing I'm going to say before we end out the video, if you want to see my rankings before we even post them here on YouTube and talk about them, I post them every weekend, either Saturday night or Sunday morning on Twitter. If you guys want to leave a comment under the post and you want me to talk about it in a video, feel free to do so. As you've seen, we do that. We welcome criticism on this channel. We welcome different opinions. That's what makes our community what it is. I don't expect you guys to agree with my rankings, and I hope you guys don't expect me to agree with y'all's every time. I don't expect you guys to agree with everything I say and vice versa, and that's why we talk about this stuff. And I'm also not trying to persuade you. If you don't think Alabama should be ranked 8th, you think they should be ranked 4th or 5th, stick to your opinion. I'm just explaining it to you why I have them at number 8. One thing I've learned as I've gotten older in life is you can have different opinions. You can agree to disagree. Many more things I could say. We'll end it off here. Let me know your thoughts down below. But